So next up is Christie Balch, who's the Executive Director of Crossroads Community Network.
All right, I'm going to share a few stories about how I've seen food empower the disenfranchised and transform people, businesses, and relationships. These stories are a collection of my experiences in Wisconsin, Afghanistan, and Maryland that show how food can bring people together and build community. And photo credits go to my mom, Jane Balch, and my friend and colleague, Amanda Rockler. I grew up on a little farm in Wisconsin where I was lucky to always have access to good food and could see firsthand where my food came from. My favorite cow did not have a name. Instead, she had a tag that said number 8. And wanting to ensure their kids knew the gory details of where food comes from, my parents would sometimes torture me when eating hamburgers off the grill, saying, number 8. But number 8 was a dairy cow, so we did not eat her. Just to clarify. I learned about the intersection of food, farming, and the environment early on, and grew up having intense debates about rotational grazing, organic vegetable production, optimal chicken slaughtering techniques, that's me. I showed cows at the county fair, which is cutthroat competition if you ever saw it. And all of this prepared me for my career in food systems. So for 4 years, I worked for an amazing nonprofit in Wisconsin called Community Groundworks. I taught gardening to mental patients and incarcerated youth. And the patients that I worked with at the state mental hospital had committed horrific, violent crimes, and they were deemed judged not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect. And I spent each Tuesday with those guys maintaining our edible forest, and I saw firsthand the healing power that food production involvement gave to them. So one day I was there with a group of incarcerated teenage boys out for a service day, and these were the kinds of kids that had been committing violent crimes, stealing cars, things like that, and they weren't used to being outside in nature. So we spent the day hauling wheelbarrows of mulch, doing trail maintenance, weeding, and trimming. And during a break, I brought them into the herb garden that we had, and so we spent time tasting, smelling, learning about plants that were totally foreign to them, and smashing leaves of lemon balm in between our fingers and smelling that intense lemony fresh scent blew these kids away. And so at the end of the day, when it came time to reflect, we stood in a circle and each person shared one thing they liked or one thing they learned that day. And one young man, the biggest, thuggiest kid, the kind of kid you would cross the street to avoid maybe, said, "I got to smell new smells that I've never smelled before." And that energized me to get more people firsthand experience with food production. So after that, I had the opportunity through the University of Maryland to teach women in Afghanistan about gardening and nutrition. I traveled to Kabul 3 times and led workshops for women on food production. And as everyone knows, life is very harsh there, especially for women. But getting to know these strong, smart, and very sassy women gave me optimism and hope. So workshop topics were selected based on suggestions from the women, and one popular topic was gardening in small spaces and teaching the women to make self-watering buckets using power tools when many of them had never used power tools before, turned into the biggest giggle fest I've ever seen. But like their gardens, the Giggle Fest grew as the women gained skills, and some of the women had asked about growing crops in recycled containers, and specifically old socks. So basically, you would grow cucumbers. You'd fill the sock with soil, nail it to a wall, plant some cucumber seeds, and they would cascade down and be this beautiful thing. But that set off a round of penis jokes with the socks filled with soil. So you can picture this. We're on this farm. It's like a desert. There's a snow-covered mountain range in the distance. There's a bombed-out palace right next to this farm. There's military helicopters buzzing overhead, and we were rolling on the ground laughing together. So, it's amazing. So closer to home, in Maryland, the Crossroads Farmers Market is operated by the nonprofit that I work for, Crossroads Community Food Network, and it was established to respond to the uncomfortable reality that the wildly successful Tacoma Park Farmers Market served mostly the well-to-do. The Crossroads Farmers Market was created to bring fresh, healthy food to an underserved community, and it was the first market in the country to launch a double dollar program where we match the value of federal nutrition benefit dollars with privately raised funds. When this started in 2007, it was a wild, radical experiment, and it worked, and so now over 500 markets replicate this model. A few years ago at market, a woman showed up with a bucket full of produce and an umbrella, and she just started selling. And our market manager said, "Who are you? Did you fill out an application?" And she said, "No, but I belong here." And she had clearly done her market research. Now Rosa, who started out with a very small garden making only a few dollars, is one of our very successful vendors. She's expanded her farm and her market booth and has increased her weekly sales by over 400%. There's huge demand for her Central American herbs and greens, and she continues to expand her business. So, in conclusion, we have all heard the dire statistics. Cheryl shared some with us earlier today, and we know that food is fundamental to health. And we know about the inequality that some populations face in accessing healthy food, and that inequality results in higher rates of diseases like diabetes. We know that accessing affordable, high quality, and healthy food is especially challenging in low-income neighborhoods of color. And ironically, we know that some of the people that are least able to feed themselves work in the food system. And I am in a position of privilege, as are many of you. And I think you would all agree that everyone has the right to eat good, healthy food, and everyone has the right to participate in their food system. And it is our duty to make a more equitable food system. So what can you do? You can donate your time and or money to organizations working on these issues. You can help to be Rosa's assistant. She's amazing. You can vote with your fork and support local farmers and food entrepreneurs. Ensure that marginalized communities are involved in building and maintaining our local food economy, and work to address upstream factors like living wages and affordable housing. So let's take inspiration from the teenage boy in Wisconsin, the women in Afghanistan, and Rosa at the farmer's market. They remind us that everyone can be an active participant in our food system when they are empowered to take part. Thank you.